going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the More Than Love podcast. I'm your host, Terry Duran. I got my co-host, Jay, with me. What's going on, Jay?
Not much. Look forward to getting to another good show tonight.
Yeah, man, we got a pretty good show lined up for y'all. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the dating disconnect. And we'll be diving into the differences between how men and women approach dating. And try to provide some explanation on why men and women typically have very different dating experiences. Before we get into that, we like to start the show off with a segment that we call Terry's Top 3, where we basically highlight the most interesting or controversial posts from my Instagram page at Terry Duran. This week, we're going to be starting off with the video that I put up on my page from a classic movie. Shout out to John Singleton. This is one of his R.I.P. John Singleton. This was a clip from the movie Baby Boy. And the question that I posed was, if a man curbs a thought because of his relationship, is that demonstrating loyalty? So let's take a look at the video so you can see the scenario I presented.
What's up, Jody?
Candle smell good.
Yeah.
Pandora.
Aromatherapy. You smoke?
Nah. Don't mess with that.
So you and Yvette got a baby together, huh? Where y'all stay at?
We don't live together.
You ain't gotta lie. I know y'all live together. I see you drop her off and pick her up every day.
That's our thing. That's just what we do. I don't want to talk about Vet.
Well, we don't need to talk. I just want some dick.
Why you want to fuck me? To make my girl mad, huh? That's what you want to do?
No. It ain't even that kind of party. I just think you cute. I mean, I see you all the time. And was in the parking lot earlier.
Now, that's where the video cut off, but basically he was in a situation where he could have got some pussy and got away with it. And before things went all the way, he made a judgment call and decided to remove himself from the situation. And so my perspective on it is, a man or a woman that is in a situation where they can do something wrong or escalate a situation, and they exercise some self-control to change their mind or make a different decision, I think if their motive was their relationship or how their partner would feel, I think that is a sign of loyalty. I mean, like, loyalty doesn't get tested until you're in a position to give into temptation. You know what I mean? Like, so in my opinion, that's the textbook definition of loyalty. Now, he's definitely wrong for putting himself in that position to begin with, but that doesn't erase the fact that he exercised loyalty by not going through with the cheating.
Yeah, well, I think, I posted you on the podcast that, and, from the comments, most of them had a problem that most of them saying, well, why was he over there in the first place? I think that's, that was the common thread there. Most of them said, well, he should have put himself in that position. He should have been there in the first place. But, I guess, key where, he showed a level of self-control, if not for anything else.
Yeah, I mean, and that type of attitude is part of the reason why men just kind of say, fuck it, a lot of times. Because even if you were weak at one point, or you sent some texts or said something you weren't supposed to do, and at a later point, you come to your senses and be like, nah, I shouldn't do this, and you change your mind. Well, most women are gonna treat you like you fucked her anyway. You know what I mean? Like, so
right.
from the guy's perspective, they looking at it like, well, I might as well go all the way with it, instead of having some type of situation where you trying to explain that I did care about you. I did, because what they'll often do is, if you do cheat, they'll be like, you should have thought about that before you fucked her. And even if you did think about her and your relationship before you actually did it, you still won't get credit or any, consideration for that. So it
might be most of that is probably would do, but I mean, this was a pretty attractive woman. Yeah,
she was very attractive.
You was able to turn that down. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because for most guys don't have to turn down sex the way that women do. You know, men don't get sex on demand the way that attractive women can. And so a woman curving some dick or turning down a sexual advance, that's a lot more common than a guy being in a position where he's guaranteed, or the woman has made it clear that she wants to give him sex, and he has the opportunity to do it and likely get away with it, and he just chooses not to. That's a lot more rare than a woman being able to resist that same type of predicament. And you know that has a lot to do with how men and women feel about sex in general. You know, men are a lot more sexual than the average woman, and men's standards to have sex are a lot lower than most women. So that's going to result in men being a lot more comfortable with having sex with random people or people that they may not love or want to be with. A lot more men are cool with the casual aspect of sex than we see a lot of women are.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's just one of those situations that shows, you know, even if a man is trying to do right or trying to exercise some better judgment, a lot of times it'll be in vain, because he'll suffer the same exact consequences he would if he had went the entire way. You know
I mean, right, in that situation, no matter what, you know, the woman's gonna find a flaw in that situation.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And a lot of times what happens is women will, I think they're just kind of oblivious to what actually goes on, because when it comes from the perspective of men that have lots of success with women, when they're committed to one woman, they still keep track of how much pussy they passing up, how many chicks they would have fucked in that time period if they were single. Like it's very difficult to not keep track of those type of things when your friends are still single and still living that type of lifestyle. You know what I mean? And so a lot of women are used to just sleeping with one person at a time. So they often don't take into consideration a man that may be used to sleeping with multiple women and dwindling down to being monogamous with one woman. That has a lot more impact on somebody that's used to sleeping with multiple people.
Yeah. Especially, you know, like especially, you know, if he was successful with women, you know, he had a rotation of women that he was dealing with at one time.
Yeah, you know.
They could get all that up to be with one person. So
it takes a lot of effort.
I really don't understand that.
All right, let's move on to the next post. This was a post that I put up that was sent to me by a single mother. It said, question, I've been dating a man for a year, but he has never been to my house because I wanted to make sure we would be together long term before introducing him to my kids. He has asked to come over several times and told me it makes him feel some type of way to not be invited to my place. What do you think? Now, I think this kind of represents the traditional or old school methodology of single women, where they want to they'll wait for an extended period of time to introduce a man to their children. They want to wait till they're in a committed relationship or they're already in love. And to me, I think that's kind of a flawed approach, because if the goal is to a single woman, any serious relationship is going to result in a blended family, right? And so if your goal is to find out how a man interacts or connects with your child, how your child responds to that man before you've invested several months, I think there are ways that you can go about doing it that don't require you to go over a year avoiding and keeping them separate, when your children are going to be aware if you have a man that's a part of your life. They're going to hear you saying his name. They're going to hear you making plans with him, etc. So they're going to know who this person is. So playing this, well, I guess it's not a game, but having this tactic where you're just going to keep them completely separate, and then just one day you're going to introduce them together and hope for the best, that there's a lot of things that can go wrong with that type of scenario. And so
Absolutely.
I would recommend a more, updated approach. You don't have to allow a man to come to your house to meet your kids. You can go somewhere that's family friendly. Go somewhere that your child you can make your child being able to be entertained the focal point of the day. You can go to a trampoline gym, a bowling alley, just a Top Golf, some type of place where the man will be able to meet.
I think, the question that comes into play is, how I'm going to do that, or, what's the threshold before, you plan something like that.
Well, you're right. I get asked that a lot. And my response is always, once you decide that the person is going to be a regular part of your life. And I think you know that after a couple of weeks or a month or so, whether or not you're going to be really kicking it with somebody or not. And so once you decide, once you have been talking to them almost every day, or y'all speak several times a week, y'all are making dates, plans to see each other on a consistent basis, that's when you need to, I would recommend you test it, because you can save yourself a lot of heartache and drama by figuring out if your child has a serious problem with that person early on. You don't want to be dating a man that's not good with kids. You know what I mean? Like, especially if he don't have kids of his own. So, from my experience, children have always been a really good gauge of character from what I've seen. And so just in people that are good with kids, it's instant. You can instantly tell that they have good rapport with children. And you don't have to put your child in a dangerous position. You don't have to let the person babysit your kid to see how they interact with the kid. You know what I mean? Like, so there's like this, whenever we have this conversation.
I don't think you should do that to begin with, especially, if this is a person you're just in an initial dating stage, or you don't know enough about that person.
Yeah, I mean, but what happens is the conversation always gets brought up like, man, people are dangerous, and they'll reference somebody a stepdad or somebody that killed a kid, and it's like, well, that's not really fair, because there are people that kill their biological kids. You know what I mean? Like, so there's nothing you can do to prevent tragedy and murder and things of that nature. And so you can't use that as your guiding force on formulating your dating strategy. Obviously, you want to be safe. You only want to put people around your kid that you trust or whatnot. That's why you do it. You're there to make sure things go well. You're not putting your child in a position where they're alone with a stranger. You're allowing them to meet a stranger. You don't have to make it like it's some massive event. You can be like, hey, we going to the carnival. We're going to go to the carnival Friday, and have the guy meet you at the carnival. So y'all can walk around the carnival. You and him can talk. Y'all can be in line together. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can do things like that where you can see how your child interacts with someone and get a gauge of how things would be going forward without having a situation where you 11 months in and you already digmatized or in love or pregnant, and now you gotta introduce your child, who should be the main person in your life, to the person that you want to be the main person in your life. To me, that sounds like it would be very stressful, and I can see that going really, really, really south if the man.
I think puts a lot of pressure on both people involved in this relationship.
Yeah.
This person trying to get kids. I guess, for lack of better term, better acquainted with the person they're dating. Maybe the person they're dating is not good with kids, or may not be good with kids.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that can go wrong. You know what I mean? But obviously, it's going to vary on a case-by-case basis. But if you meet somebody that has kids, there's nothing wrong with y'all going somewhere to Chuck E. Cheese, or just somewhere where you can. Being able to see their parenting skills is a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, from the guy that's dating a single mom. Man, you don't want to go 11 months without you seeing how she parent her child. You know what I mean? Like, this is stuff that's really important. You want to see how they interact with their child. How are their children behave? What are their manners like? All of these are really things that are extremely important if you are dating somebody that already has kids. You know what I mean? Like, so I think people need to, get with the program and get rid of some of these outdated methods of trying to form a relationship or a blended family. The last post that we're going to be talking about this week is a post that I put up. It said that you don't have to wait until someone does something to you directly to figure out that you aren't compatible with them. You can observe how they treat and communicate with others, how they make decisions, how they deal with problems to figure out that they aren't going to be worth your time. And I put that up, man. That's something that, to me, it just feels like it's common sense. You know, like I'm a firm believer in, if you can learn from somebody else's mistakes or somebody else's negative experience without having to go through it yourself, do it. You know what I mean? And so when it comes to dating, right, I always talk about you want to see how a person treats others, how they interact with others. And what I mean by that is, if you're dating somebody and they always getting it, 1 week they got a best friend, and then 3 weeks later they fell out with the person and they beefing on social media and all this type of stuff. Like, you want to find out what are the motives behind these things. What are causing the conflict? How did you handle the situation? What did you do to either resolve or, you know what I'm saying, intensify the situation? You have to pay attention to how people operate and move, even if it's not involving you directly. Because in most dating situations, when it's somebody that has a romantic interest in you, you're not likely to have conflicts in those first couple of weeks or months. That's when everybody, you're whether you realize it or not, you're avoiding conflict with this person up front. You know, and even from a male perspective, a guy can tell when there's about to be a conflicting conversation or argument. And if it's a chick that he just started dating, he's just going to change the topic of conversation because he doesn't benefit in any way by getting in an argument with a chick he ain't in a relationship with, and he's not trying to resolve issues with at that particular point. It makes more sense to just...
I mean, there's a lot of truth there, but like you said, it should be common sense and common knowledge here. But it's a lot of people. It's not, like I said, they don't have to do anything directly to you to know whether or not you're compatible. I mean, you just see how they.
Yeah, you can just see.
For example, if let's just say this person you date is a degenerate gambler, and you're somebody who's financially responsible, well then it wouldn't be practical for you to date that person.
It could be a lot of red flags.
Every day.
You know what I'm saying? It could be a lot of red flags, or just, they could be violent. They could have a real bad temper. They could be threatening people all the time. Like, you can spot all type of behaviors that can let you know that you do not mesh and you are not compatible with somebody.
Doing certain things to other people, acceptance to other people, or whatever, doing what they're supposed to be doing. I always tell people that, and they're like, oh, well, this person is me, and I can't do it with somebody else. My question would always be, well, what makes you think they won't do that to you if they're doing that to somebody else?
Yeah.
I mean, or they're willing to leave somebody else to be with you, and what makes you think they won't leave you to be with somebody else?
Yeah, I mean, it just makes, to me, you want to observe a person in several different situations and scenarios.
Absolutely.
Outside of just the one-on-one time that you get with them and the things that they tell you, because what you learn over time is a lot of times the things people say and the things they actually do don't mesh. They don't align. And that's how you can spot the fuck boys or the fuck girls or the people that are lying and deceiving you or pretending to be something that they're not. When you're dealing with somebody that's authentic and consistent, you'll see authentic and consistency through all their relationships. They treat everybody with respect. They treat everybody fair. Everybody they hang out with likes them and respects them. You can observe these type of things if you pay attention, and you have to pay attention to their interactions with others, not just you. We're about to take a quick break. When we come back from break, we'll get into our topic of the night, which is we're talking about the dating divide, the differences, and how men and women approach dating. You're listening to the More Than Love podcast. Thanks for tuning in. All right, everybody, welcome back to the More Than Love podcast. Tonight we are talking about the dating disconnect and the differences in how men and women approach dating. I just wanted to kind of go in depth about the differences that I've observed to try to explain some of the results that I see. So now, with women, I've noticed that women date primarily with the goal of ending up in a committed relationship. So a lot of the things that they do and the strategies and the moves that they make are centered around trying to get guarantees or assurances, or trying to find some kind of shortcut or life hack to help them accomplish that goal. They want to find out what they need to say and do and what order they need to do it to make a man fall in love and want to be with them. They need to figure out how they, what's the best way or the quickest way to make a man want what they want. And a lot of times that sets them up for failure, because when you go into any situation where you're desperate or anxious, your judgment is altered. You know what I mean? You're more likely to make decisions that are short term instead of thinking long term. So, and how does that manifest itself in relationships? Well, you see a lot of women jump in their relationships with men they are not compatible with at all, just for the sake of being in a relationship. You know what I mean? Like, so those are the type of emotional decisions that you make based off of how good somebody makes you feel or how excited you are at the beginning, the initial part of the dating phase.
I think, when that you want to be in a committed relationship with, who they date or interact with. But I think, when they're gay, it's not, sometimes, the practical part, the logical part gets lost. Or, sometimes it's not based on anything tangible, like, it's based on, like you said, how they make them feel.
Yeah, either a feel, an assumption, or just their preference. And a lot of times those preferences are things that they use to evaluate or make their decisions.
Yeah.
But
those are more so superficial things.
Exactly.
When it comes to preference.
I was going to say, they're not things that let you know whether he's a quality man or not. They're not things that let you know whether he'd be a good father or a good husband. There are things that you just like better than someone else. Like those, having a superficial or insignificant thing be the difference maker between your dating decisions is not a sound strategy. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be evaluating things that actually matter. Like their level of responsibility, their communication, are they consistent or are they a hypocrite? Or are their thoughts sound and logic and reasoning, or are they somebody that talk in circles and make rash decisions that don't make any sense? You have to figure this stuff out during the dating phase. You know what I mean? Like, you can't figure it out once they already your boyfriend and your girlfriend. It's too late then. You know what I'm saying? Like, you already fucking them raw, and now you want to figure out that they can't handle money or they irresponsible. Like, that it's too late then.
Exactly.
So now, men in general date with the primary purpose of making sure that they can consistently get time, attention, and sex from the women that they're attracted to. They view falling in love, getting in a relationship, having kids, and getting married as options, and that is not their main goal in life. If they do come across somebody that they feel confident in marrying or having children with, or if those situations present themselves, they'll handle them accordingly, but that's not their life goal. That's not what they're every person they meet, they're not set on trying to make sure that they end up married or having a family together. And that's one of the reasons that men, have a lot more carefree dating experiences, and they experience a lot less drama and heartbreak with that type of approach, because you're less likely to disrupt the dating phase or operate in a way that pushes people away from you if you just cool and you going with the flow. You're not in a rush. You peeping game. You evaluating the person accurately. You taking your time. Like, you're giving yourself all the opportunities to make a sound decision instead of a rushed one. And when it comes to dating, you know, to me, I always looked at dating as being important because that's how you create your kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it really boils down to just talking and texting and hanging out. But when it comes to evaluating a person that you're going to really be kicking it with heavy, man, a lot of pregnancies are accidental or unexpected. And so the person that you're going to be fucking or kicking it with on a regular basis, that significantly increases the chances that y'all become parents. And I've just always looked at dating that way. And that's why I always did a good job evaluating character. You know, like you can just be talking to a chick on the phone and see how she talks to her family members and be like, oh man, she could never be my girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would never have them be my in-laws. You know what I mean? Like, you could.
You know, I think for the quality men, you put about quality men that want successful women. You know, they're more so dating. They're dating practical. You know, not dating based on necessarily all the superficial things.
Yeah.
More so, are they compatible with this person? You know,
right.
You know, things you talk about all the time. Can that person, are they good at problem solving? But, you know, what are they, and what is the person bringing to the table here?
Exactly.
You know, as opposed to just sex. You know,
just sex and fun.
You dating somebody based on just sex and look, you know, that's not necessarily, you know, a practical way of dating.
Right, and that's definitely not how the quality men approach it. Now, quality men are extremely successful being single bachelors, so they're not as interested in settling down or getting married as women are, or men that may not be as successful as women may be. And so what you often see with those type of men, they're so polished, they're so experienced at shooting their shot and talking to different women that their dating strategies are really sound. They do a good job at vetting the women that they date. Now, just because you get with somebody and y'all are compatible at the time that y'all got married does not mean that person can't change. That doesn't mean that y'all can't grow apart over time, and it doesn't mean that certain life circumstances can't put a strain on the relationship and cause it to fail. You know what I mean? Like, so there is no guaranteed way to make sure that you're gonna last forever with anybody. You know, I say all the time, I don't know if me and my wife will be married forever. I hope so. We both working towards that, but that's not a guarantee. You know what I mean? Like, so you have to approach it with trying to make sure that we're compatible to the point where if we do have a problem, we can resolve it. You know, we had a disagreement, we talked through it, and it was all good. You know, we can get through the misunderstandings, because if you can do that, that's how you can tackle the big issue. The big issues just require more conversation. They require more money. You know what I'm saying? They have more of an impact on you. But ultimately, to get through them, it takes conversations. Explaining why you don't like that option. Why you have a problem with that choice. You know what I mean? And doing it with someone, doing it where you're not just thinking about yourself.
The main thing would be communicating effectively.
Yeah.
As opposed to saying, well, I don't like this. And, you know, you're like, hey, it's okay. You don't like it, okay.
Well, I mean, for a lot of people, man, it becomes difficult to make group decisions, because a lot of people feel like, man, I'm grown, I can do what I want with my money. You can't tell me what to do. Like, that's a real thing. You know what I mean? Especially when you got people.
It's definitely common. It's not something that would be uncommon. But that's saying, you know, it's got to be that's the teenage, you know, some kind of dialogue. You know, that whole I'm grown, I'll do what I want, right? Especially if you're married, that's not going to work too well.
Yeah, you know, you have to try to set yourself up for success. All it takes is a couple of bad decisions in your dating world to mess your life up forever. You know what I'm saying? Or at least make you undesirable or less desirable than you were. You know what I mean? Like, so it's very important, and especially with the climate that we live in now, where women are already facing a major uphill battle when it comes to dating. So women need to be as efficient as possible, and that's what, the next thing that I had on my list was how they end up in relationships or in marriages with these undesirable guys. That's a result of women being lied to or deceived. So it's either a situation where the man intentionally lied or deceived her to make her believe he was something he wasn't, or it's a situation where the woman failed the dating phase and ignored the red flags. Those are the two situations you get where a woman ends up with a dude.
I think a lot of those, I think in many of those situations, 90, let's just say 95% is still in the dating phase where you didn't figure out you were compatible with it. I think, if somebody's deceiving, I think a lot of times if you just say do your diligence and probe a little bit, you can see that, okay, this guy.
Yeah, you should be able to. It's always, man, it's hard for me to think that if you were actually having real meaningful conversations with somebody, you interacting with them, almost every day, y'all talking every day, you like, how can you not peep their lifestyle and spot the inconsistencies, spot the, the inaccuracies and the things that they told you and the things that you actually observe when you interact with them? Like, to me, that seems like an easy thing to do. You know what I mean? Like man, I don't see how you can be getting fooled by somebody for years and years and years if you talk to them every day. You know what I'm saying? Or y'all live in the same house. And I don't know.
I mean, somebody, putting up the front, I figure you know you that for so long.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
I
man,
think eventually that runs its course.
Yeah, I mean, when people come to me and talk to me about their situations, I notice the patterns. I see a lot of people that jump into these relationships, but by the time they discussing it with me, it's way too late. You know what I'm saying? Like, so.
Now, but with those situations, do you think it's because they failed part of the dating, or you just think they were just truly deceived?
Man, it's a combination of just that whirlwind, excited feeling you get when you meet somebody new that's feeling you, that you feeling them. Like, it's easy to become infatuated with the idea of being in love or falling for somebody, and the conversation, y'all texting back and forth, like that whole, all of that can be overwhelming. And then you combine it with some good head or some good dick, and now next thing you know, you sprung. You know what I'm saying? Or you're constantly looking forward to that other person. And then when you combine it, the last thing that I had on my list was social media. Social media plays a major part into how people view relationships, because it creates a feeling like you're competing with all these perfect relationships, and you're really not. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're really not. Most people are not living a perfect fairy tale, happily ever after type of life, even if they say that they are. Even if they do photo shoots every month, even if they do couple outfits every week, like, none of those things really equate to happiness or having a healthy relationship. You know what I mean? But
because the thing with social media is that you always put the good stuff on it. You always put, you're pretty much putting the best. Most people by and large put their best foot on social media. You got social media, so everybody has a perfect relationship. Everybody's the best parent on there.
Exactly.
Everybody doing a good life here, and for what it's worth, that may or may not be the case here.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to understand that there are going to be, everybody got negatives about them or things that their partner just have to deal with or would prefer that they did differently. We all have those type of things. But that's what love is. Love allows you to accept things from somebody that you wouldn't accept from people that you don't love. You'll do stuff. Your kids can do stuff that you wouldn't let somebody else do. Somebody that wasn't a loved one do. And so you just want to find people that have things that are small enough or where you can either accept it or you can find a workaround. you don't want to deal with nobody that got some major deal breaker that is an issue. You know what I mean? Like, that's where you have the dysfunctional relationships. Like, somebody that's beating your ass every time they get mad, that's not a situation you ever gonna be comfortable in. You know what I mean? Like, but, you know, we talked about situations like that where the abuser, it backs you into a corner financially, or they separate you from your friends and family. Like, people that are trying to force you or put you in a dysfunctional situation usually do so and do other things strategically to make it easier, or to put you in a situation where you weren't expecting that from them. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to talk on those things, because when we have these back and forth conversations about the male perspective and the female perspective, it becomes really easy to see some of the things that women are doing that put themselves in a bad situation and really prevents them or makes it more difficult for them to reach their relationship goals. And when you look at how men approach things and how men look at sex and dating, it becomes crystal clear why most men are able to consistently meet theirs without giving up on sex, without going celibate, without being stressed out, without feeling the need to try to force a relationship to happen. So I just wanted to, try to do a little deep dive, give some thoughts and perspective on the main things that I've observed, so that hopefully we can try to, put some people on the right path, man. So we can have some proposals and some happy endings by the end of 2019.
Definitely.
All right, man. We about to get up out of here, man. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure you check us out on YouTube to watch the video version of the podcast. Tell your friends about it. Share the episode. Jay, I appreciate you doing another episode with me, bro.
No problem. And for those of you who haven't already, make sure you follow the More Love Podcast Instagram page. And definitely subscribe to us on iTunes.
All right, man. That's a wrap, man. It's been another episode of the More Than Love Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.